If you've been researching how to buy a home for months, maybe years, and you still don't feel ready, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the entire home buying process, step by step, so you know exactly what's coming. No surprises, no jargon, just the truth about what it actually looks like to buy a home in 2026. And I want to say something right off the top. If you feel like everyone else just figures this out and you're the only one stuck in a loop of research and second guessing, you're not. That feeling is way more common than anyone talks about. And it doesn't mean you're not ready. It probably means you just haven't had anyone lay it all out for you in a way that actually makes sense. And that's what this video is for. The whole process, start to finish. So by the end, you'll know exactly what to expect. And more importantly, you'll know what to expect from yourself at each stage. Because buying a home isn't just a financial process, it's an emotional one. And nobody prepares you for that part. So let's get into it. Now, before you even open a real estate app or start scrolling listings, there's one thing you need to do first, and that's get pre-approved. And I want to be specific here because there's a difference between being pre-qualified and being pre-approved, and most people don't know that. Pre-qualified is basically just a rough estimate. The bank is going to look at what you tell them and say, yeah, you could probably afford around this much. It's not verified and it's definitely not a commitment. Now, pre-approved means the bank has actually reviewed your documents. They're going to look at your income, your debts, your credit. And they've said, we will lend you up to this amount. That's the one you want. Because when you find a home and you're ready to make an offer, sellers are going to take you seriously when you're actually pre-approved. Now, in terms of documents, you'll typically need your last 2 years of tax returns or T4s, some recent pay stubs, a list of your debts and your assets, and of course, some ID. If you're self-employed, it can be a bit more involved, but your mortgage broker or your mortgage specialist will be able to walk you through it. Now, here's the part that catches people off guard. The bank might tell you that you're pre-approved for, let's say, $500,000. That does not mean you should spend $500,000. What the bank approves you for and what you can actually comfortably afford are two very, very different things. You need to factor in your lifestyle, your monthly expenses, your comfort level, not just what the math says on paper. And speaking of money, there are costs beyond your down payment that nobody mentions until you're already in the process. In Calgary, with the average home price, I say you should budget an extra $8,000 and let's go up to $15,000 just in case for things like legal fees, home inspection, property tax adjustments, title insurance, and of course moving costs. These aren't really optional, they're just a part of it. And knowing about them now means they won't blindside you later. And of course, I'm giving you very high numbers here so that you don't go in being like, shoot, I only have half of what I need. It's always best to be prepared. All right, you're pre-approved, you know your real budget. Now you need to find the right agent. And I want to be honest with you here because this part matters more than most people realize. A lot of people pick their agent based on who sold the most homes last year or who has the biggest billboard. And look, sales volume is fine, but it doesn't tell you anything about how that person communicates, how they handle pressure, or whether they'll actually listen to you when you say, I need a minute to think. Here's what I'd look for instead. First, do they explain things clearly? Not in jargon, not in industry speak, in plain language that actually makes sense to you. If you leave your first meeting more confused than when you walked in, that is a huge red flag. Second, do they ask questions or do they just talk? A good agent should be trying to understand your situation, your timeline, your concerns, not just pitching you on how great they are. Third, and this one is huge, especially to me, do they give you space? If you say, I need to think about this overnight, a good agent says, absolutely, take your time. A bad agent says, well, it might be gone by tomorrow. That pressure right there, that's not urgency. That is a sales tactic, and you deserve way better than that. And one more thing, in Alberta, you'll now be signing a buyer representation agreement before your agent starts working with you. I know that sounds intimidating, but it actually protects you. So it means your agent has a legal obligation to work in your best interest. It defines the relationship clearly. It's very black and white. So ask your agent to walk you through it line by line. If they can't or won't, that's going to tell you something too. Okay, so now you've got your pre-approval and you've found an agent you trust. Now comes the part most people think is the fun part, looking at homes. And it can definitely be fun, but I do want to set some expectations so that people don't get discouraged. First, everything starts on the MLS. That is the multiple listing service. It is the database where all the homes for sale are listed. So your agent will set you up with a search based on your criteria. It's going to be your price range, neighborhood preferences, if you have a size preference, any features you're looking for, and you'll get listings sent to your email or to an app. Here's what I want you to know about these listings. These photos are going to lie to you. Not intentionally, usually, but wide angle lenses make rooms look bigger, bright editing makes spaces look lighter, and you never get a sense of the feel of a home from the photos. So don't fall in love with the listing online, and don't write one off either. You're gonna need to see it in person. Most buyers see somewhere between 5 to 15 homes before they buy. Some see more, some see fewer. There's really no right number. But here's what I tell my clients. If you've seen 5 or 6 homes and none of them felt right, that does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you just haven't found it yet, and that is completely okay. When you're at a showing, I want you to pay attention to the things that you cannot change. That's going to be things like the location, the lot, the layout, the natural light. The things you can change, like paint colors, flooring, fixtures, those don't matter nearly as much. Try not to let these cosmetic things distract you from whether the bones of the home are actually going to work for your life. And one more thing, you have full permission to not love a house. You can walk into a showing that looked perfect online and say, nope, not for me. That is totally allowed. You do not owe anyone an explanation. A good agent will just say, cool, let's keep looking. Okay, let's fast forward. You found one. You walked in, something clicked, and now you're thinking about making an offer. This is where a lot of people start to panic. And I get it. This is a huge deal. So let me walk you through exactly what happens so there's no surprises. In Alberta, an offer is going to be a written contract. Your agent will prepare it with you. It's going to include the price you're offering, closing date you're proposing, and this part's super important, your conditions. Conditions are basically your safety net. They are things in writing that you want to have looked at or done that you can walk away from the deal if they are not done to your satisfaction. The most common ones are a financing condition, which gives you time to finalize your mortgage, and a home inspection condition, which gives you time to have the home professionally inspected. They give you a window to do your due diligence before you're fully locked in to purchasing the property. Okay, so you sat with your realtor and you've got an offer ready and it's been submitted, and now a few things can happen. So the seller can accept it as is, they can reject it, or, and this one is the most common one, they can come back with a counter offer. Maybe they want a higher price or a different closing date. Your agent will walk you through it and you'll decide how to respond. If your offer gets rejected, and this does happen, I need you to hear this. It is not personal. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. Sometimes the seller had a higher offer. Sometimes the timing just didn't work. It stings, but it is part of the process. You've just got to dust off and you need to keep going. Now, if you're in a multiple offer situation, things can feel intense. There might be pressure to go in without conditions or to offer way over asking. Here's my take. Never waive conditions you're not comfortable. Never offer more than you can afford just because someone else might. A good agent will help you make a strong offer without making a reckless offer. If the right house slips away because you stayed within your limits, it wasn't the right house. The right one will come. All right, your offer was accepted. Congratulations, this is huge. But here's the part nobody prepares you for. After your offer is accepted, there's this window. It's usually 7 to 14 days where you're waiting on your conditions. Your home inspection, financing approval, and during that time, your brain is going to go into overdrive. Did I pay too much? What if the inspection finds something terrible? What if the bank says no? What if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life? I want you to know this is completely normal. Every single buyer goes through some version of this. I went through it every time I bought a house. It's not a sign that you made the wrong decision. It's your brain processing the weight of what you just did. And if nobody warned you it was coming, it can feel like a full-blown crisis. So let's talk about what's actually happening during this time. The home inspection. You'll hire a professional inspector to go through the home, to take a look at the foundation, roof, whatever plumbing they can see, electrical, everything. They'll give you a report. And here's the thing. Almost every home will have something on the report. Totally normal. The question isn't, is there anything wrong? It's, is there anything I cannot live with? Huge difference. Small stuff is going to be expected, but big structural issues or safety concerns, that's when you have a conversation with your agent about how to proceed. The financing condition. This is the bank doing their final review. They'll verify everything, potentially do an appraisal on the property, and confirm your mortgage. This takes time. Sometimes it feels like it's taking forever. But it's just the process. Your mortgage broker will keep you updated. The emotional dip. This one's real. Somewhere in the middle of waiting, a lot of buyers hit this low point. It's almost like buyer's remorse, but you haven't even moved in yet. You start questioning everything. Should I have waited? Is there something better out there? Am I really ready for this? If this happens to you, and it might, just know that it does pass. It is your brain catching up to the size of the decision. So just give yourself some grace. Okay, condition day. This is the day your conditions expire. So if everything checks out, inspection's good, financing's confirmed, you do what we call waiving your conditions, saying you're satisfied with everything. And at that point, the deal is officially firm. You're buying a home, and there's no turning back. And that moment can feel really intense, but also really, really freaking good. From here, your lawyer takes over. They're going to handle the title transfer, the paperwork, the money. You'll meet with them before closing to sign everything and hand over the remaining funds. And then it's just a countdown to possession day. Okay, my favorite part, possession day. This is the day you actually get the keys. But here's what actually happens behind the scenes. Your lawyer's going to confirm that everything's been funded and the title has been transferred. Usually by mid-morning or early afternoon, you'll get the call. Keys are ready. So you're going to go pick them up and then you walk into your home. Now, I want to be honest about something. For some people, this moment feels incredible. You walk in, you're overwhelmed with excitement, and it all hits you at once. But for a lot of people, especially if you're someone who processes things deeply, it might feel quiet, if that's the right word, maybe even anticlimactic. You might walk in and just stand there thinking, okay, what now? And that's normal too. You've been running on adrenaline for weeks. Your brain is exhausted. The excitement might not hit you for a few days, might not hit you for a few weeks, and that's completely fine. So in your first week, honestly, probably even the week leading up to your possession, here's the things you need, or I want you to be focusing on. You're going to want to make sure your utilities are set up, which is going to be your power, gas, water, and your internet. Change locks. and you're going to set up mail forwarding with Canada Post. Confirm your home insurance is active, and then honestly, just let yourself settle in. Unpack one room at a time. Make it yours slowly. You just did something enormous. Whether it feels like it right now or not, you did do it. So take a breath. If you've been putting this off because it felt too overwhelming, I really do hope this helped. Seriously. The truth is, buying a home doesn't have to feel chaotic. It doesn't have to feel like a surprise every step of the way. With the right agent and the right information, it can actually feel kind of calm. If you want a written version of everything I just walked you through, every step, in order that you can reference whenever you need it, DM me the word guide on Instagram and I'll send it to you. It's free, no catch. I just want you to have it. And if you're in Calgary and you've been looking for an agent who does things a little differently, who explains everything before it happens, who gives you space to think, who puts it all in writing so you never have to guess, I'm here. And I would love to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.